It's officially summer, and right now, you, as well as millions of parents, are fighting the exact same battle. How to keep our kids off the screens all summer. So in this video, we'll talk about some actionable steps you can take this summer so you can stay sane, but also help your kids stay active. Hello and welcome to the Dr. Nnamani show, where we prioritize preparation over perfection. If this is your first time, welcome. Let's get right into it. So it's summer, right? And if you're a parent like I am, it's bittersweet. It's great to have the kids home. It's great to not have to run like a chicken without a head to all the extracurricular activities and schoolwork and music, orchestra, band, sports, all of that stuff. But at the same time, now you have kids at home that you have to keep entertained, right? So what do? We'll talk about a few of those things. Well, let's start off by saying, we'll start off with lowering our dopamine baseline. What does that mean? So when your children are on the screen 8 hours, maybe more a day, it's not good for their brain. So while it sounds cliche, this is actually true. What does it do? When your children are scrolling, especially through like YouTube shorts, Instagram shorts, reels, all of that stuff, it gives it a high dopamine, it increases your dopamine levels, right? So they're wanting that instantaneous gratification, right? And so when they get off the screen, regular life just seems so boring. So what do I mean when I say lower that? That just means limit their time, right? So you want to actually schedule time for boredom. I know, doctor's orders. It sounds a little crazy, but it's okay for your children to be bored. It's okay that they don't have anything to do. I would actually recommend having about 30 minutes to an hour of time that could be scheduled in their day where you're not keeping them entertained. Now, obviously, if you have children who are much younger, like infants and maybe children up to age 2, that may be a little bit more difficult. But we're talking about children who are like really preschool and school aged, right? Because they've been in school most of the year. So I usually recommend they come to you and say, Mommy, Daddy, I'm bored. What do we do? Say, guess what? That's great. Creativity comes out of boredom, right? And so I recommend if you've watched any of my videos, you will learn that I have recommended that children just be creative, right? A lot of us get more creative when just in silence. So they can do some arts and crafts. If they have siblings, they can play with your siblings. They can actually talk to your siblings without a phone. It's important that you schedule, screen-free times during the day where they're really not doing anything on the screens. Board games are really good. So this is a good time, especially if you have some time as a parent. If let's say you're a teacher or you just have some time during the day, you can schedule some time to play chess or Monopoly or card games, or they could just enjoy just sitting and just letting their brains rest. I strongly recommend not having your children watch any screens at least within 2 to 3 hours of awake time. Instead, when they wake up within 30 minutes, they can just go outside for a 30-minute walk, right? That actually will help to set their circadian rhythm. Some sunshine within 30 minutes of waking up actually does show significant benefits for the brain and really, again, just your circadian rhythm. So when next time your kids ask, we're bored, say, Dr. Nnamani said it's okay to be bored. There's some crayons, there's some coloring books, there's a board game, there's Legos, there's a dollhouse, and you can just make it as simple as possible. Okay? So next thing is, really importantly, we want to defeat the summer slide. The summer slide is a thing. The summer slide, summer lag, whatever you want to call it. Teachers repeatedly see this. And again, as a pediatrician, I see this happen very frequently, right? So it's the summertime, they're not required to do homework, or there's no required reading, depending on the school district. And kids just feel, and parents just feel, oh, I get a break, I don't have to help with homework. And while that may seem like it's relaxing, it's actually very counterproductive. Now, I like to think about it in a way that's doable, right? And I say this not just as a pediatrician, but as a mom, right? I've got 3 kids of my own, so I'm right there in the thick of it with you, right? You can just schedule 30 minutes to 60 minutes of time when they're doing some work, right? So it could be a fun book that you assign to them. You can actually go to your library. A lot of libraries, public libraries, will have like a summer reading challenge, right? And there's some incentive if you read a certain number of books by the end of the summer, right? If you're at home, you can actually kind of gamify this, right? So you can build a fort and they can just stay under the fort and just read a book for 30 minutes. I strongly recommend this, or just listening to an educational podcast, right? Yes, children can listen to podcasts. But if you think about it, let's say they slept 12 hours, even 13 hours. There are 24 hours in a day. So you have at least 11 to 12 hours of awake time where they can do, and if they only dedicated 30 minutes to an hour of that time every day, and maybe an off day once a week, that's really not a lot. It is doable, right? And so I find that trying to structure this time is important. Right now, we just started summer, so you can say, the first week we'll just freestyle and you can sleep in, you can do all of that stuff. But it's really important that children still need structure over the summertime, right? The other thing you can do, if you can afford it, is probably put them in like a summer camp where they're actually doing things outside, right? There's different levels of summer camps. There may be summer camps where a lot of kids are maybe just on screens and all of that stuff, but especially for school age children, having them do like athletic camps or camps where they're out learning skills, whether it's swimming or some other sort of sport or something, is usually a good idea. Now, if you can't, a lot of times, if you're in the US, your local YMCA usually will have discounted rates for things that you can do over the summer. You can start a family book club, right? You can just say, we're going to read a book and we'll talk about it as a family, or just start a family tradition, and all of that. Be sure to incorporate some outside time every day, even if it's 30 minutes a day, or if just start with 15 minutes, start with something you feel like is doable, right? So step number 2, incorporate boredom. That is really important. And then the last thing I will recommend is just, tactile. You can actually just recommend things like tactile audios, right? Like, again, depending on where you are in the US, you may be able to have like I said, a podcast, or just even some kitchen time, right? You could do a kitchen lab once a week or once a day, depending on what your capacity is. What does that mean? It could be like you love baking. If you're a mom that loves baking, that could be a time to just talk about math in a fun way. Like, we're going to use half a cup. What is half a cup? What does that look like visually, right? What does a cup of flour look like? What does a teaspoon of sugar look like? Those are fun things. And why do we need sugar? You can use every opportunity to teach your children while not making it seem like, oh, this is another boring class, right? So I hope all of this has helped. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're most scared of with the summer, what you're most excited about, right? Obviously, there's vacation. A lot of us may have some vacation plans, but even if you don't, you can use the time that you have to create memories, right? So I'd like to hear back from you. Remember to subscribe, like, and share to a mom or dad in your life that you think will benefit from this video. Until then, toodles, remember, preparation over perfection. Bye.